Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Alright, so today's video. This is going to be a little bit of an interesting one. I have no notes, I have no script, I have no nothing. This is going to be fairly raw today. So a few things have happened, and it sparked my want to discuss them, and I wanted to try and kind of twist the events that have been happening to me so that they can be used for a kind of educational purpose, teach you guys a little bit about, handling this. So today we're going to be talking about guilds, behavior within guilds, and having fun. So I think to begin this, we should frame this whole kind of discussion with my personal experience, what has triggered this discussion. So recently, over the last couple of weeks, I was a little bit burnt out on raiding, because World of Warcraft is my job. I play it every day, and, sometimes it feels like it's a little bit of, a job, essentially, when I'm raiding, and it's like, oh, I'm working, and I just thought to myself, it's getting a bit much. I'd like to spend a bit of time with my husband, just kind of relax a little bit, and so I decided, I got in contact with the officers of my guild, and I said, I would like to take a week off from raiding. And we had a quick discussion about it, and they said, yes, that's okay, that's fine. We will see you in a week. So I had that week off. It was fine. It was lovely, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed my time off. And it was good. It reinvigorated my want for World of Warcraft quite a lot, which is great. So that's a little piece of advice. If you ever feel like, you're a little bit burnt out on World of Warcraft, a week-long break can really help. And depending upon the severity of your burnout, the break can last any amount of time. So anyway, so I return from this week-long break for our Monday raid. And you can tell that this is going to be awkward already, but we have recruited a few new people. I'm not going to name drop anyone because that would be thoroughly vicious of me, and I don't want to do that. So we had recruited a fair amount of new players, and they were interesting, to say the least, in terms of their behavior. I mean, they were good players. It seemed like they were pretty talented, pretty skilled at the game. They knew what they were doing. And when I got onto Mumble, our voice-over communication system, everything was fine. It was just a few of us in there, a few of the people that I was familiar with, and we had a chat, and we got ready for raiding. And as the raid began, more and more people filtered into Mumble, and it got to the point where everyone was there, and we were all ready to get going. And the chat was pretty heavy. There was plenty of chatter going on. And there were a couple of people there who were very, and I've been struggling to find the proper term for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. They were fairly toxic. Now, if you've been in a large amount of guilds, kind of like I have, then you'll probably be familiar with these kind of players. People who say things or do things, and you think to yourself, why? What is the purpose of this? It's not funny in even a cathartic kind of, sadistic kind of way. It's not funny. So these people were being particularly offensive, and at one particular point, I distinctly remember, and actually I don't need to remember because I haven't recorded, I was recording for a while live, and at one point they were throwing around insults at one another and all that stuff, and they started using the term gay. Now, if you've watched my videos and you've paid attention in any of the comments, or you've watched my Tuskeh's story video, then you will know I am gay, and I have no problem with the word, and I understand that some people use it offensively. They're stupid for doing so, in my opinion, but this was, happening in the raid team that I was, trying to have fun with, so I was a little bit frustrated, so I said to them, can you please not use that term in that way? And after a little bit of whining and all that kind of stuff, things settled down. But unfortunately, less than 10 minutes later, it got much, much worse. And suffice it to say, it ended with them saying something particularly, I mean, it was not even a slur, it was just cruel and thoughtless and stupid and completely offensive. Now, officers did step in at some point and, tell them, stop it, please, because this is ridiculous and you are being stupid and offensive, but unfortunately, that just turned these particular players from being toxic to being passive-aggressive toxic and offensive and difficult, and I knew for a fact that, had I stuck around, it would just be nothing but that for the entirety of the raid. So I said in Mumble, I said, I'm sorry, but this is not why I raid. I'm not here to listen to this. I wish you all the best of luck. And I left. I left the raid team. Just then and there. So yeah, I just left the raid team. I let a few of the officers know that I will not be returning to the guild, and that, that's not why I raid. And unfortunately, it seems like that was quite the pattern, because a lot of other people left the guild at that point, and unfortunately, it's kind of fallen apart, which is a terrible shame. But I wanted to frame this and use it as a baseline for discussing guilds, behaving yourself in them, and what raiding is really about. So let's start with guilds. Now, it's fair to say that, a guild is a guild, and I'm sure most people who are watching this video have a guild of some kind. Whether or not they are particularly bound to that guild, whether or not they feel loyalty to that guild is completely up to them. It's in an entirely personal situation. But that said, I think people place a little bit too much importance on guilds, and this is something that we're going to go over in just a bit. I want to talk to you about what to do if you think that the guild you're in is a little bit unsuitable for you, let's say. Now, when it comes to guilds and behaving in them, this is something that is really going to change on a guild-per-guild basis, and really it's a struggle to find a guild that contains everything you want in it. I mean, for instance, me, and of course this changes depending on what you want to do in the game, but for me, I would like a guild that does, a fair amount of progression. I do enjoy progressing. I don't need to go into Mythic, but I would like to poke my feet into it, see what it's all about, and get a couple of bosses down, and that's what I've done with my previous guild, and that's great. That's the kind of progression I wanted. But on top of that, I'd also like a guild that's respectful, that can talk to one another, that is, thoughtful and funny in some kind of ways, the way that I find funny in the very least, because I'm not a person that is very big on offensive humor. If you've watched my videos for any amount of time, you can probably tell I like being kind to people. I like being understanding. I like to think I have a fairly open mind, and that I can look at someone, and even when they're being difficult, I can think to myself, okay, this is why they are being difficult. I can understand them. But unfortunately, that combination is quite hard to find, and there's definitely a lot of guilds out there that are not very suitable for people, and I just want to quickly go over whether or not you're in this situation. As I said, I think that people place too much precedence on guilds. I think that they put too much value into them. They're too loyal, because you've got to remember that a guild is only a gathering of people normally that don't know each other around the internet, and they're just there and they play the game normally by themselves, but they just kind of chat with one another. I mean, there are a lot of other guilds, there are roleplay guilds, PvP guilds, questing guilds, social guilds, raiding guilds, loads of different kinds of guilds. But, as I said, I think people place too much loyalty on them, because it gets to the point, I think, with a lot of people that you're suffering in a guild, and you stick with them because you feel like you owe it to them, you've got the guild tag above your head, you've done all this stuff with them. Normally it's just time, you spent all this time with them, so you feel like you owe them more time, that you owe them your loyalty. And I just want to say this, you don't. You absolutely don't. The only way you could give anyone your loyalty in World of Warcraft is if they pay for your subscription fee, okay? That's the only way I see it to be fair. The rest of the time, it's your fun, it's all that stuff, it's you. And I think that it's not very fair for people to expect loyalty out of others just because they've spent time with them in a guild. So I don't want to rant too much, I don't want to make this too long a video, but generally I would like to just communicate with people out there who might be in a similar situation to this, who think to themselves, okay, I'm in this guild, I'm not entirely sure, there's that feeling where you feel like you're not entirely clicking with them. And if you have that feeling, consider moving on, I would say that, because if there are people in your guild who are toxic, if there are people in your guild who are offensive and thoughtless, and nothing is being done about it, and if you're an officer in a guild, you need to jump on top of this kind of thing, because this is the kind of thing that can destroy guilds. So be careful about it. So there's all that going on, and you feel like, you don't fit in, you feel like there are people in the guild who just piss you off whenever they're around. If you feel like that, and it feels a bit overwhelming, remember that you don't owe this guild any kind of loyalty. And this goes on to my last point, which is fun. Which is so easy to forget, but fun is what this game is about. You play this game for fun. You play it to relax. You play it in your free time and enjoy yourself. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. That's kind of the whole point of it. It's a video game. That's why I make the videos on my channel, so you can learn and enjoy it more. I've always thought that, the more you know about something, the more deeply you can appreciate it. But the people that I'm talking about who are thoughtless and base and offensive, they are not thoughtful. They are not learning about the game. They're not being understanding. And in my opinion, if you're surrounded by people like that, you need to get out, because they will ruin this game for you. And it is the most frustrating thing in the world. I swear, I was ready to punch my monitor through when I listened to them say these comments. It was absolutely horrendous, and it was frustrating, and it angered me. It really angered me. I don't get angry too often. It happens from time to time, and sometimes I get fake angry in these little rants where I start, shouting and all that, but that was proper, true anger, because I cannot stand that kind of thing. And if you feel even slightly similar, and you feel like you're surrounded by people like that, I heartily suggest moving on, because these people will ruin the fun. And that's not why you play this game. It's not why you pay for this game. If you don't pay for this game, it's not why whoever pays for this game for you is paying for this game. You get my point. This is your time, you know? This is the time that you have to be away from your job, to be away from school, to be away from other responsibilities. Don't bind yourself, don't give loyalty out to people who don't respect it, to people who don't think to themselves, this person is putting in time and energy to make people around them better, to enjoy raiding, all that stuff. If people aren't like that, if people don't think that, then they don't deserve your time. They don't deserve your energy. Regardless of the progress that they do, if you're not having fun, then that is self-destructive. It really is. So what I would suggest doing is, first of all, talk to the officers of the guild, let them know your grievances, don't ever suffer in silence, give them time to sort it out. If they're not able to, or they don't, then just tell them that you're moving on. It's not a faux pas to leave a guild, you know? It's not like, oh, I have shamed my guild and I am leaving and I am a guild hopper. No, you're not a guild hopper. You are leaving an environment that is not one that you wish to be in. That takes a fair amount of courage to do. I mean, it's not exactly, you know, facing Lord Voldemort in Harry Potter, is it? But it takes some courage to do because you're walking away from people and it can be very easy to build that loyalty. Don't ever build that loyalty for people who do not appreciate it, because it's self-destructive and they will ruin your fun. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Little bit of a rant video, I just wanted to get that out there and let you guys know what was going on. So WoW Live will be put on hold for a while I attempt to find a new guild and all that stuff. So yes, I thoroughly apologise for the lack of the raiding videos for a while. Hopefully I'll get some new ones out when 6.2 comes along. But I do thoroughly apologise, and hopefully we can get back into the swing of it with a different guild who is more thoughtful, more appreciative, more understanding, and, you know, who's just a better atmosphere to be around. Hopefully I can find that balance, and hopefully we can continue making great videos. And on top of that, I just want to add that if this video helps even one person think to themselves, you know, this guild I'm in isn't really what I'm after, then I think this is worth it, because I would happily spend 15 minutes ranting to anyone about why it's a good idea to leave a guild that you are not enjoying, and why you having fun is the primary reason you play this game, alright? Just remember that at the end of the day. It's such an overused line, and it can get people very angry, but this is, at the end of the day, a game for fun. If you are not having fun, you need to do something about it, alright? So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope some of you found it helpful. As always, I thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the world of Warcraft.